Good evening. Good evening and welcome to the study session meeting for the City of Farmers Branch Planning and Zoning Commission. I'd like to begin by thanking the commissioners for their service. Up first in our study session, item A1, discuss regular agenda items, which takes us to item C1. Consider approval of the January 13th, 2025 Planning and Zoning Commission minutes and take appropriate action. Commissioners, any typos, errors, omissions, corrections? All right, we will move on to item C2. Consider the request for a final plat approval of Presidium Valley View, Lot 1, Block A, located at 4040 Valley View Lane, and take appropriate action.
Commissioners, I'll be presenting this case. Just let me know if you have any questions.
Excellent, thank you. Brian will be presenting. Any questions for staff?
Well, my first question is, sorry, where's my button? Why is this particular plat coming before the commission? Because usually we don't see plats at all. So what makes this one unique? Right. So whenever we have a plat that requires the extension of public infrastructure, we're required by state law to bring it before your consideration, which is the case for this particular plat because it does involve the development of a multifamily development. So they are having to extend some water easements and some other public infrastructure. So, okay, thank you. Of course.
I have a question. On the plat, there was 3 or 4 sentences on the left-hand side of the plat that referred to water detention, but I didn't see on the plat any place for like a detention pond. I mean, was that just standard language?
I can take that one, but I can also defer to Ms. Bergman. I believe on the plat to the south there should have been a little hatched area indicating the detention easement, but Ms. Bergman, if you'd like to take that.
Sure, Brian's correct. There is a 10 foot by 415 foot underground detention easement,
Okay.
and that's called out on the
It's
plat.
is it on the east side of the property?
On the west side, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, kind of along the fire lane, right on
Okay.
that property line.
I read that blurb and I kept looking at the plat and I saw where it said, I think, doesn't it say water line or something?
Mm-hmm.
And I was,
They're kind of overlapping on the plan south, but there's a water easement that goes along the fire lane,
Mm-hmm.
and then there's an underground detention easement in that same area.
okay, well, why doesn't it identify detention easement? I mean, I'm not trying to be picky. I thought maybe the language over there was just standard.
No, it only applies to properties that have detention facilities and require an easement. So it's a little hard to see on this, but we can provide a zoomed in version. It is labeled on the plat.
Okay, well, that's fine. Okay, that was just for me and anybody else that was paying that close attention.
It's a great question. You don't have those types of facilities on every development.
Yeah.
So it is
Mhm.
unique.
Any further questions for staff? All right, that takes us to all of our public hearings. Item D1, conduct a public hearing, consider the request for a special use permit for vehicle sales and leasing used within approximately 18,000 square foot area of the building located on approximately 4.08 acre property located at 14805 Venture Drive and located within the light industrial zoning district and take appropriate action.
Thank you, Amber, Chair Rayleigh. I'm presenting this case. Happy to answer any questions if anybody has any at this point in time.
Are they going to have any fenced outside storage?
No, not to my knowledge.
Because I know that area, several of those buildings, facilities, there is fenced outside storage on others in that similar business. So they're just going to do car storage on the inside?
Yes, that's correct. All activity will take place within the building.
Are they going to do any kind of repair?
There's no repair component.
Okay.
This will just be for the sales component at this point in time.
Other questions?
Yeah, it does say no repair work may be conducted on the vehicles on premise. What constitutes repair work?
So I believe there is a definition in the ordinance, but it would be things like oil changes, minor. It wouldn't cross into the line of like major auto repair, like transmission repair and dent works and things like that. But would be minor things like oil changes and so forth.
And Brett, if I could add to that, the CZO distinguishes between vehicle maintenance and vehicle repair. And so we can provide both of those definitions, but neither of those is proposed with this development. And specifically, auto repair is not allowed without an SUP.
Yeah, actually, I have a couple of questions. One was, I was somewhat surprised along the repairs question because it says that repairs are prohibited, but there's a Mercedes repair shop right next door, and literally it's the same building. You look at the roofs and it's one roof. So why does this part of the building have a Mercedes repair shop and the place next door not permitted to have repairs? And the Mercedes repair shop used to be my Volvo repair shop. So
I'll defer to.
Take that. There's a bit of context on that one. They have a specific use permit for auto repair. And the Swedish Auto, I think, is what was in there
Yeah.
before. They'd been there for decades.
Yeah.
They had a specific use permit. And when they sold to the current tenant, they updated that SUP.
okay. The other question I had was the staff report says that all the cars will be stored and displayed indoors. But when I read the language of the ordinance, it just says they'll be adding the ability to sell cars, but nothing in the ordinance requires that the cars all be stored indoors. And there's nothing in the ordinance that would prohibit them having signs with, cars in the parking lot with gaudy signs. And I'm just curious why the ordinance didn't have that restriction in the language of the ordinance.
Yeah, that's a great question as well. The light industrial district does not allow for outside storage. So that includes vehicles being stored outdoors. And so the SUP would have to include that if they wanted to, otherwise it's prohibited. So because they're not proposing that and it's already prohibited in the ordinance, the SUP ordinance doesn't need to explicitly state it, but we could add that just for clarification.
Okay, so you're saying it's already required in the underlying.
Right.
ordinance.
Outside
Okay.
storage is already prohibited there.
And
I
that's-
think over the years, and I'm going to say 30 years, there was an auto parts place in a building by itself, and it attracted others. And there's probably 6 or 7 or 8 of them up there now. And the city is always, if a new one comes in or moves into an old space, they issue a special use permit, and they've kind of kept all those same people in the same general area up there on that street. So, because I think the original ordinance, you couldn't sell cars. You couldn't have a car lot is what it was. And so they just started with the special use permit in those buildings, and that's how they, over a period of 30 years, ended up with 6 or 7 of those dealer-like people up there that just lock the cars in a building instead of having a car lot.
So display of a car for sale, even if it's only for a portion of the day, counts as outside storage and is prohibited?
And that would fall under outside sales. If they're keeping it there overnight, it turns into storage. But regardless, all activities for this dealership have to be conducted indoors,
Okay.
including display of cars. But again, the ordinance is just a draft. And if the commission feels that that would be helpful, just to reiterate, even though it's understood, we can add that language in.
I think it would be a helpful clarification.
Certainly, we can include that in the ordinance if that's the decision of
I'm
the
not a lawyer.
P&Z. Yeah, there's also the point of diminishing return too, because they do have required parking for customers. So if they begin to display outdoors and
There's no
have
place for
cars,
customers to park.
exactly. Plus, it would require more parking because you're expanding the area.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thanks. And with that, it brings us to item D2, conduct a public hearing and consider the request for a zoning amendment for an indoor commercial amusement facility on approximately 5.06 acres located at 4355 LBJ Freeway within PD 40 zoning district and take appropriate action.
Commissioners, any questions on this item?
The guys are outside, so I guess they're going to be the presenters.
So I'll present the staff report, but the applicant is here
Okay,
and they have a separate
applicant.
presentation.
I have questions.
Sure.
Am I on?
Yes.
Thank you. I was looking at the floor plan, trying to figure out the configuration, and it's kind of hard to see it even when I blow it up. But it looked like everything's going to be on the second floor.
Primarily, there is a kitchen installation that they're proposing on the first floor that would serve the amusement area, but everything else is on the second floor.
So concessions in the kitchen are going to be on the first floor, and then the dining tables are on the second floor.
Right.
And this is targeted to 8 to 12-year-olds or something like that. So you can have 8 to 12-year-olds going up and down stairs carrying baskets of French fries. And
I believe the first floor area would be limited to staff, and then the
Oh.
food would be delivered upstairs,
Okay.
but we can clarify that with the applicant.
And my other question was, if they're going to have trampolines on the second floor, what's the ceiling height?
Probably 22 feet. Easy.
No.
It's an old industrial, it's a furniture building.
Yeah, yeah, it's the old Freaks building.
I'll get that number for you. I don't have it specifically, but I'll find out.
And I assume that they have done analysis and no kid's going to go so high that it's gonna, is that on the ceiling? I mean, some people can go really high on the trampoline.
No, if this request is approved, they'll have to go through the remodel process with our community services department, so they'll have to meet all building code requirements.
And
Do we know?
have-
I'm sorry. Do we know anything about the developer as far as like what other projects they've completed? Is this their first amusement park of this style?
I believe this is the first location in the United States, but they have developed outside of the country, and they have a separate presentation tonight that'll show some of those examples.
And the other question was, do we know what they're going to do with the rest of the building? This is 33,000 out of 150,000, so it's 20% of the floor space.
Correct. What the request is for, again, the 30,000 square foot remodel. That's already a separate area suite of the building. But the current tenant, which is the wholesale furniture operation, is intended to remain. So they want to operate both within the same building. However, if this is approved, the commercial amusement use would be added to the zoning. So if they wanted to expand in the future, occupy more of the building, that would
So
be
they could-
permitted.
The whole 150,000 feet could be amusements eventually.
Right. As long as they can meet the parking requirement and
Okay.
all of those.
All right, excellent, thank you. And that brings us to item D3, conduct a public hearing and consider the request for a zoning amendment for a private school, primary and secondary, on approximately 2.79 acres located at 4,000 McEwen Road within PD 90 zoning district and take appropriate action.
Commissioners, any questions? This property should be very familiar.
Mhm.
They said they were going to build a gymnasium. Is it going to be a 10 building? I mean, do we know what, is the construction going to match the area?
So the elevations are included in the packet, and we have them for the presentation tonight.
Okay,
They're using the gymnasium to satisfy the storm
thank you.
shelter requirement for this development. So it has to be able to withstand tornado speed winds.
Right.
And as a result, they're proposing CMU construction with an EFIS exterior. And so they are limited by building code in terms of windows and certain facade treatments that we would normally encourage. Because this is a storm shelter, it has to be constructed to a certain standard. So
well, my only concern was, or thought was, is the outside appearance going to be close to matching the surrounding buildings?
It will differ from the surrounding buildings. The two office buildings are brick exterior.
Right, right.
And this is CMU, so it will be a different look.
Okay.
However, it is kind of at the rear of the site and less visible from the street frontages. But yes, we'll have the elevations available in the presentation.
We don't have the ability to require building material anymore. Didn't that change here 3 or 4 years ago?
That's
State
correct.
law?
As long as the material meets international building code, we cannot be more restrictive than that.
Do we know what happened to the other buildings on site? I drove past it and there's part of the facade is missing. Is that affecting the development of the school?
Yeah, there was a vehicle collision with the building that caused some damage, so they're including that repair as part of their remodel.
Good thing there were no kids in it.
Absolutely.
Other questions? Staff? Will that applicant be here as well?
Yes, they should be.
Okay.
I assume the storm shelter is big enough for all the anticipated enrollment in the school.
Correct. Yes.
All right, and with that, that takes us back to item A2. Discuss agenda items for future Planning and Zoning Commission consideration. Commissioners? Notes, items?
I'll just take this opportunity to remind everybody about the upcoming Focus North Texas training on February 21st. Thank you to those of you that are RSVP'd. And if anybody else is interested in attending, please let us know. And then you all received a meeting invite for a special bus tour with City Council on February 6th. So again, please let us know if you have any questions or are not able to attend.
Do we have an update on where that will be or what the focus will be of the bus tour?
It will be in Farmers Branch,
Okay.
a tour of the city.
And by chance, do we also have any updates on the active transportation plan?
Yes, we could bring that as a future agenda item.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd love to see that too.
Excellent. All right, and with that, that concludes our study session meeting. It is presently 6:48 p.m. and we will reconvene at 7 for our regular meeting. Thank you all. Good evening and welcome to the City of Farmers Branch Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. It is presently 7 p.m. Monday, January 27th, 2025. I'd like to begin this evening by thanking the commissioners for their service. On our agenda, up first is citizen comments. This agenda item provides an opportunity for citizens to address the Planning and Zoning Commission on any matter that is not posted on the agenda. Anyone wishing to address the commission should complete a citizen comments registration form and submit it to the chair prior to the start of the meeting. There is a 3-minute time limit for each citizen to speak, with a reasonable limitation on speakers or any one topic item, with a maximum of 15 total minutes on the same topic item. Anyone wishing to speak shall be courteous and cordial. The Planning and Zoning Commission is not permitted to take action on any subject raised by a speaker during citizen comments. When called, please approach the podium and state your name and address prior to beginning your comment. Please direct all comments to the commissions and not to the audience. This evening, I believe we have no citizen comments forms, so we will move on to our regular agenda items, beginning with item C1. Consider approval of the January 13th, 2025 Planning and Zoning Commission meeting minutes and take appropriate action. Commissioners?
I'll motion to approve the minutes.
Any further discussion on the item? Seeing none, we'll move to a vote. All those in favor to approve the minutes? And that carries. Thank you all. Next up, item C2, consider the request for a final plat approval of Presidium Valley View, Lot 1, Block A, located at 4040 Valley View Lane, and take appropriate action. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you. All right. Well, good evening, Madam Chair. Thank you very much. Thank you, Commissioners. Brian Campbell, Senior Planning Technician, here to present to you tonight the final plat for Presidium on Valley View. So this is the subject property. It is a 3.78 acre site located at 4040 Valley View Lane. As noted in your staff report, this property does represent phase 1 of a 2-phase development from the applicant, a multifamily development that will be known as Presidium at Valley View. And so this is the proposed final plat. And this is the approved detailed site plan. So the plat is consistent with the state and local government code requirements for final plat approval, and it's also consistent with the detailed site plan. So with that concludes my presentation. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to take those. And we do have the applicant here as well if you have any questions. Thank you.
Thanks, Brian. Commissioners, any questions for staff? Do we have any questions for the applicant?
Is the applicant here?
Yes. Okay, if you wouldn't mind, just go ahead and come forth and just state your name and address for the record. And
Rob Lewis with Kimley Horn, 2600 North Central Expressway, Richardson, Texas.
I only have one easy question. I've been watching you folks build that project for several years. Do you have an estimated date of completion at this point?
I don't know from the GC final completion, but one of the pushes to get this plat approved and recorded is so that they can pull some TCOs. So they are getting close, but I do not have a final official date
So
for you.
you don't know if it's going to be completed in, say, in 2025 or 20?
We'll be done this year.
Okay.
They'll be fully done this calendar year. Yes,
Okay,
sir.
good. Thank you. That's all I really wanted.
thank you. Any further questions?
If this is phase 1, what's phase 2 going to be and where is that going to be located?
I don't want to play with your deal here, Brian.
Oh, that's okay. Yes, I can actually take that question. So phase 2 will be this property right here.
Okay.
It's a demolition of the strip building that's there and then construction of a similar style
Mhm.
residential building.
And is the restaurant going to go as well?
No, the salt grass will remain.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any further questions? All right. Thank you.
Thank
all.
you.
Commissioners?
Motion to approve as is.
First, we
Right.
close the meeting, right?
Oh, yep.
Oh,
Motion
that's
to
right.
close the meeting.
We are a public hearing. Thank you for the reminder.
Oh,
Oh,
actually,
Actually,
this one
is
isn't
the
a public
plat.
hearing.
This is the plat. Thank you. Yeah, but you're jumping ahead in an appropriate way. But yes, thank you. So, yes, this is a plat approval. So, and this won't go to city council. This is for us. Yeah.
I'll second his approval.
All right. Any further discussion on the item? All right, seeing none, we'll move to vote. All those in favor to approve our final plat, that carries. Thank you all.
Thank you, commissioners.
And next up, we will have a public hearing, so thank you for that. We will conduct a public hearing and consider requests for a specific use permit for vehicle sales and leasing used within approximately 18,000 square foot area of the building located on approximately 4.08 acre property located at 14805 Venture Drive and located within the light industrial zoning district, and take appropriate action. Thank you, Brett.
All right. Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the Planning and Zoning Commission. My name is Brett Mangum. I'm the lead planner with the Economic Development, Planning and Tourism Department here at Farmers Branch. The case before you is 24-SU-07. The property is addressed as 14805 Venture Drive. You can see here the map on the right indicates the location of the property, which is approximately 4.08 acres at the intersection of Venture Drive and Garden Brook Drive in the northern sector of Farmers Branch. This property is currently zoned light industrial, and it is host to an existing building, which is a one-story warehouse. I would like to point out at this juncture that the specific use permit request before you will only pertain to a portion of that building on the 4-acre site, which is highlighted by the red box you see on your screen. That red box encloses approximately 20,000 square foot within that existing warehouse building. As far as modifications, this proposal does not have any changes to the existing building. The building form, the parking, and the landscaping will all remain as is currently on the ground. And to go into a little bit more detail as far as what this particular specific use request is for, this is for auto sales for a classic car dealership, which is named Skyway Classics. This dealership is coming to Texas. This is their first location here in the state. They specialize in classic cars, antique cars, and exotic cars. And as you can see on the screen, this is the interior site plan for how the 20,000 square foot area will be divided up. You've got room for approximately 31 vehicles on the interior when fully stocked. There is a small area for staging and photography in the bottom left corner of the plan. And then there's also, you see a reception and office area on the bottom right corner. When people walk in, that's where they will come in at. That's approximately 1,200 square foot out of the total 20,000 square foot. Moving on to the comprehensive plan. The city of Farmers Branch has the 2045 comprehensive plan, which has been adopted. And you can see the subject site here, which is designated as future industrial on our future land use map. We did feel in our analysis that the request is in line with the comprehensive plan by and large, considering the boutique nature of this auto dealer, which is classic cars rather than your standard typical used car dealership that we're all familiar with outdoor storage. All of this activity will be contained within the building. So we feel that that is a plus, and it does fit within what's being proposed as far as the vision for that particular area up near Beltline Road. We did send out our mandated state property notices to 118 property owners on January 16th. That number I know does seem a little high. I do want to point out that there is a condominium development that's just within the boundary of the notification halo, which is 200 feet. So that contained quite a few residential addresses, and we did want to notify all members of the condominium community. So that did raise the number fairly substantially compared to what we would normally see. As of this meeting, we have not had any written response to any of the letters. I have had a few phone calls. None of them were in opposition. They were just seeking additional information on this request. And with that, that's all the presentation that I have. We do have the applicants present in the audience, Max Tansky and Ryan Tansky with Skyway Classics. And they also have a few slides that kind of cover the basis of their business. So at this point, I'm happy to answer any questions if anybody has any questions for staff.
All right, Commissioners, any questions for staff? Okay, if we'd have the applicant, if we'd please just state your name and address for the record.
My name is Ryan Tansky. I am from 15050 Sugar Bowl Road, Mayaca City, Florida. Made the trip here to be with you all tonight. Thank you so much for your time. A little backstory about us. We are a family-owned and operated business. My father has been in the automotive industry for virtually his entire life, well over 30 years. We're originally from the Detroit area, so we've always been an automotive family. And we are, like I said, family owned as well as operated. My father, my brother who's behind me, as well as myself, we lead our main team for how our operations pursue. And some fun facts there about us, if you are curious. Max is a veteran with 2 overseas tours. I do volunteer as a pastor part-time with my time. And my father is just a car enthusiast through and through, enjoying his 5 children and his 6 grandchildren with 1 more on the way. So what do? We specialize in classic and antique vehicles with some exotics as well. We mainly buy cars or offer our vehicles on consignment by getting involved in the community with those who are already interested in selling their vehicles. We currently have 17 employees working out of our Florida location, and we're hoping to do something similar in the future here in Texas in the Dallas area. Our plans of operation are, as Brett so kindly stated already, we're hoping to use this building as a showroom for sales and consignment only. There will not be any type of reconditioning, any type of repair, or any type of improvements made to these vehicles. We are projecting at start that our operation will consist of roughly 3 employees at this location. And that concludes my slide. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you. Commissioners, any questions for our applicant?
How are people finding your shop and how are they coming to your shop? Is this by appointment or, what kind of foot traffic are you generating?
Yes, we are by appointment only. We do have to operate within the standard procedures for dealer licensing, which is generally 9 to 5. Weekends are optional, but we do highly encourage appointment only. In our current location that we have, that beautiful building that you saw, we maybe get 10 visitors a week that we are not expecting. So we are anticipating a very, very low traffic impact.
Thank you. Commissioners, additional questions for our applicant?
Just to confirm, you expect that all the cars will be indoors all the time?
That is correct. Yes, sir.
And it looks like the overhead door providing access to the showroom is in the front of the store. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. There is a loading dock door and then a ramp door. Both are 8 by 10, and they are in the front of the premise.
Okay. Do you plan any exterior changes, improvements, signage, or anything like that?
No, sir.
Great, thank you. Anything else? All right, well, thank you again.
Thank you.
A reminder, this is a public meeting, a public hearing. So I don't believe we have anyone signed up to speak on this item. So commissioners?
I'll motion to close the public hearing.
Thank you.
Second.
Second, any further discussion on the item? Seeing none, we'll move to vote to close the public hearing. All those in favor? All right. And now, commissioners, there was some discussion in the study session on a potential addition or amendment to this ordinance. I just wanted to check on that as we're considering actions.
Since I was the one that brought it up, Since the expectation and the plan is to not advertise, sell, or display cars outside of the shop, I guess, do you do test drives?
We do, however, always within the ordinance of whatever operation that we're required to.
Okay. That the ordinance does not require that all cars be stored, displayed, and marketed indoors. And my suggestion to staff would be that we modify the draft ordinance to clarify that regulation, that the cars be marketed, stored, and displayed within the interior of the building and not outside in the parking lot.
Excellent. So what I'm hearing you say is that you are recommending approval with amendments specifying the no outside sales or storage.
You said it much better than I did.
All right. So we have a proposal for approval with an amendment.
I move to recommend approval of ordinance number 3913 with modifications.
All right, with those modifications as specified.
I'll
And-
second that.
all right, moved and seconded. And any further discussion on the item? All right, seeing none, we'll move to a vote. All those in favor to recommend approval with modification? All right, that carries, and this will go to City Council February 18th. Thank you so much. All right, and with that, that takes us to our next public hearing, item D2. Conduct a public hearing and consider the request for a zoning amendment for an indoor commercial amusement facility on approximately 5.06 acres located at 4355 LBJ Freeway within PD 40 zoning district and take appropriate action. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you, Commissioners. Sarah Bergman, Deputy Director of Planning. So this property is located along LBJ Freeway just east of Midway Road, and the site is developed with an existing retail and warehouse building that was constructed in 1971. The current zoning here is Plan Development PD 40, and that allows office and retail uses. The applicant is proposing to add indoor commercial amusement as an allowed use on this site and to renovate a portion of this building as a trampoline park. They're also requesting an allowance for an additional wall sign to be installed on the front of the building with a maximum area of up to 400 square feet. So a little bit more about the proposal. This would be, again, an indoor commercial amusement facility. The majority of this work would be on the second floor of the building, which is currently vacant. A new kitchen facility would be installed on the first floor to serve the amusement facility on the second floor. And as you can see here on the floor plan, there's a variety of amenities proposed within the facility, including a trampoline area, arcades, virtual reality spaces, as well as availability for birthday parties to be held here. On the top right, you can see the proposed wall sign, which would be located along the main entrance to the building. And then on the left is where the existing tenant sign is currently located. The comprehensive plan recommends mixed-use development in this location, which can include entertainment and a mix of other complementary uses. And so this proposal is consistent with the comprehensive plan, and no opposition has been received, no written correspondence in support or opposition has been received for this request. So with that, I would be happy to answer any questions. The applicant is here tonight, and they do have a separate presentation as well.
Great, thank you. Any questions for staff?
Do we know if any other properties in the area have been allowed the signage variance?
That's a good question. I don't have that number offhand, but I could find out. I will say that properties along 635 LBJ Freeway are allowed to have larger signage than other properties within the city, but the maximum is 300 square feet, and so the sign would exceed that.
Great. Additional questions for staff? All right, with that, if the applicant wouldn't mind, step forward, just state your name and address for the record. And
Good evening, Madam Chair. Good evening, PMZ Commission. My name is Yu Xiong. I'm from Century 21 Judge 5 Commercial, Frisco. I'm here speaking on behalf of Jack Wong LLC and to introduce you about the 11 Max Amusement Park. So after this speech, I hope we can walk away with idea that this project is success, unique, and serious. So 11 Amusement Park has been successfully operated in 2 locations, both in China and South Korea, and now they're expanding to the United States. This is the illustration of a one that in China, a front door in China. And the left picture is the one they operate in South Korea, and the right one is in China. And this time we're gonna bring, you can tell the theme is a little bit different, but the theme is different, but this time they're gonna bring the both theme together in Farmers Branch. So now this is the location we want to put our indoor amusement park in. This building is iconic building. Everybody, it's beautiful. Everybody in here probably knows this building. Currently, it's being occupied as an indoor wholesale furniture market. We want to put our museum park on the 2nd floor, and we think this will attract a lot of people. It has a great space. It's high enough. It will attract a lot of people. Everybody drive through this LBJ freeway, they will see our sign, this indoor amusement park. So this is just a rendering, give you an idea what it looks like. You can see we have the slides, we have this SpongeBob pool, we have this rodeo, we have angel obstacle course. So ideally, this is for 6 to 12 years old, and we think this is new, it's unique, and there's nothing like this in DFW. This is just a gut view of our plan. On the right side, of course, we also have a trampoline stuff. In the middle we have this mural maze. So kids love those stuff, and I want to specifically adding that this trampoline park. So the trampoline, of course, the kids like jump around in the backyard. They like trampoline stuff, but also in Farmers Branch, my wife, she was high school cheerleader. A lot of time they need a place to practice their stuff. They need something like a trampoline park to practice gymnastic. So I think this is not just for 6 to 12 years old, and it's great for a high school cheerleader, do some practice over there. And this is the front view. And I wanted also to tell you that our star project in this whole amusement park is our indoor indoor party room. Our party room. So when you go to some major big franchise indoor amusement park, when you go to their party room, they're just a wall and they have bench, kids eating there. We have all that, but our indoor party room, we have this 3D projector on top of the roof. So we use the latest technology. When the kids walk in there, if they like an ocean theme, they like a space theme, you literally can see a giant floating well above your head, and surrounding your well, everything surrounding you, it's fish, it's sharks. So if you like the space theme, you can see those spaceship above your head, astronaut, all the Mars plants around you. So it's really cool. We really think this will bring a lot of fun for a birthday party. Just more rendering for you can see. So this is just a reference, I can pass that. So what is in for Farmers Branch? Why we come to Farmers Branch? Obviously, Farmers Branch is a great location. You guys closer to Frisco. You guys are close to Dallas. You guys are also close to Garland. So just for Farmers Branch, the population and the kids population is not enough for us. We need 700,000 population. But Farmers Branch, if we drive 25 minutes, we will reach about 100,000 population. So this is well enough. And also, we're gonna bring a lot of people from surrounding satellite city. We're gonna bring people from Frisco. We're gonna bring people from Dallas. So our customer not predominantly just Frisco, just Farmers Branch, and we're gonna immediately we have a $1 million in bank to ready to invest in this project, and we're gonna do social media. We're gonna do social media marketing. We're gonna do Meta. We're gonna use Google. We're gonna put big advertising over there to attract people. We want to make this project be a must-go visit project in North Texas. We want also the social media influencer, when they come to introduce, DFW, I want them to point out that we have this really cool indoor amusement park for kids. Of course, we had a future expansion. We plan in the future also expand to 6 to 12 years, 12-year-old to teenager. But predominantly right now, we're only focused on 6 to 12 years old, is because teenager, we've done a lot of study, teenager want more competitive stuff. Kids 6 to 12 year old, the physical not capable. And also another thing is the language. Nowadays, teenagers language can be interesting. But in the future, we expand it to teenager. I think this will be a great project. It will be great, attract a lot of people. And I think a farmer branch needs something like this. Thank you very much. Do you have any questions?
Thank you. Commissioners, questions?
Security.
Mhm.
Tell me a little bit about your plan for securing the premises, when you have a lot of children, cars, parents dropping kids off and leaving them there for several hours, maybe unattended. Just kind of give me an overview of your thought about your security.
Sure. Yeah, that's very important. So the kids, so the parents can always be visible to the kids. Also, we have a security camera all around it, and we'll also have a security guard on site, even overnight. So that's where we're trying to ensure the safety of the kids.
Don't we have an ordinance that if we have so many people, they're required to have X amount of security? Have we addressed that?
So we have that requirement for banquet halls and event centers, and that often has to do with alcohol being served on site, but it does require security to be present based on the size of the event. That does not apply to indoor commercial amusement.
Other questions for our applicant?
Does the use of indoor amusement allow the sale of alcohol, or does it include a liquor license option?
So alcohol sales are regulated by overlay districts in Farmers Branch. And so the use by default does not, no. But there are certain locations that allow for on-premise consumption, as well as certain overlays that allow for beer and wine sales for off-premise consumption. To my knowledge, this property is not within either of those overlay districts, but I will confirm and follow up.
Thank you. Additional questions?
Yeah. So from the pictures on slide 3, the South Korea location and the China location are pretty different. Is that just a difference in the stage of development those locations are in, or, are we going to be seeing something closer to the rendering?
You're asking why they are so different?
Yeah.
Because the theme. So on the left side, on the left, the South Korea side, it's mostly inflammable, air, with most of the air equipment. On the right side, it's more, enjoyable course, and it's just the theme is different. And with this time, we found out we get a feedback, see which the project in South Korea works best, kids love the most, and we find out what's the China in the China side, which one is have great feedback. We combine them together. We just to let you know, this project is kids gonna be come back many times, because when we designed this plan, we expect the kids to finish the whole things in 1 year. They're not gonna in the 2 hours they're not gonna finish the whole project. So they will keep coming back. So, and I also have our architect come over here to introduce you guys. I'll briefly introduce you of our plan.
Just real quick, I wanted to follow up and confirmed that alcohol sales are not permitted for this location.
Thank you. And if you wouldn't mind, just state your name and address for the record.
Good evening. Yes, my name is Isaac Robinson with Studio Meyer Architects. We're at 408 Exposition Drive in Dallas. And we've been working with the team here for about 6 months now, working through this process and are in the midst of putting together a pricing set for the development.
Great. Thank you. Commissioners, any additional questions for our applicant? Go ahead.
I'm a little confused. Sorry. The staff report said that the target was to use 32,900 square feet
Yes, sir.
of the available building.
Mhm.
And the renderings that we saw was only that. So what's going to happen to the other 80% of the square footage of that existing building?
The owner is occupying a large portion of that space as far as the Rainbow wholesale
Okay.
distribution.
So it'll
and
continue to
he's-
be wholesale, furniture wholesale?
Correct. They do have a 30,000 square foot suite that's also available, and they're looking at another indoor amusement application for that. So
With you folks or with another company?
with another another group.
If I can ask, where did the name 11 Max come from? What does that mean? Does it mean anything? Sorry? 11 years old. Okay.
Demographic, I guess.
So it looks like the kitchen and concessions are on floor 1, but the seating is on the second floor?
Yes, there's a small area downstairs as well, but primarily it would be brought up either ordered at the bar and brought up upstairs, or going down and taking a break in this. And it's primarily designed to be a sort of a catering style kitchen, so there won't be any heavy prep done in there. It's mostly for bringing in pizzas and that sort of thing.
Yeah. I guess apart from prep, my concern was children running up and down stairs carrying food and drink.
Right.
As a recipe for accidents.
Yeah, they're looking at doing a hot bar upstairs as well to sort of expand and bring things up to have that prep and ready upstairs. But it wouldn't be an actual kitchen. That would just be kind of a almost a temporary station at which they serve that.
What's the ceiling height of the second floor?
16 feet. We've got one area that goes up to 19 feet.
Seems low for trampoline use.
It is, well, if you had like competition, like drill team and that sort of thing, it might be a little bit low. We've got the tallest piece of equipment at 16 feet. So we're primarily, it's the height of that equipment that's kind of gauging what the ceiling height's going to be. But we will have 19 foot at those areas where it's a little bit taller equipment and the trampoline usage.
So the trampolines will be in a 19-foot
Yes.
ceiling height. Okay.
Yeah.
And how many trampolines are there going to be?
I don't know what we've got. I believe I'd have to flip back through, and I don't. So we've got them over on the side here. What do you have here?
This is the okay, here. Over here is
Okay,
the
okay.
trampoline side. There you go.
Yeah.
But so we're looking at this, and it was called the trampoline park, but really trampolines are a relatively small part of the square footage here.
Yes.
And it's basically a children's amusement park with a wide variety of
Correct.
amusements.
That's correct.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And
Thank
any
you.
additional questions for
Yes.
our applicant?
Is there any separation between the entrances of the furniture warehouse and the amusement park?
Yes, there are. Should I drive?
So can you show me the actual the architect drawing?
Our plan.
Yeah, we've got it right. It's down at the bottom.
Uh, I can pull it.
There are separate entrances that are hard walled. Thanks. So the entrances are separated. We've got over on the right-hand side is the entrance to the Rainbow Wholesale. The main entry is going to be into 11 Max. And then over on the left-hand side of the lobby here is, it's currently being reworked and looked at for the third entrance into the third suite, the other indoor facility.
Okay, thank you.
And with this is targeting children under 11. Do we have any idea what the other occupant would be as far as a target customer?
In talks with a indoor skating facility.
Okay.
Check my red light. How many children can this accommodate at one time? And do you limit capacity once you reach that number?
We're expecting for about 60 to 120 kids. Max, it's 6,000 square feet is a lot. But we will control. When we open, we will have a control what's the best capacity for the kids. But right now we are indicate is gonna be 10,000 customer per visit per month.
Okay. My concern was congestion and, sometimes things get so crowded that the safety goes down as the congestion goes up.
Safety is always the first thing we're concerned. We will also limit if we feel like this. We feel that this is too crowded and we don't have enough hands to taking care of the kid. We will limit it to the entrance.
Okay.
For the kid. Kids always comes first.
Thank you.
Further questions? All right, thank you all.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Reminder, this is a public hearing. I don't believe we have anyone signed up to speak on this agenda item. Okay. Commissioners?
I would motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Any further discussion on the item? Seeing none, we'll move to vote to approve closure of the public hearing. All right, and now we'll hear movement on the item itself.
I move to recommend approval of ordinance number 3903 as presented.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Any further discussion on the item? Seeing none, all those in favor to recommend approval. And this too will go to City Council on February 18th. Thank you all. On our agenda next, item D3, conduct a public hearing and consider the request for a zoning amendment for a private school, primary and secondary, on approximately 2.79 acres located at 4000 McEwen Road within PD 90 zoning district and take appropriate action. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you, Commissioners. Again, Sarah Bergman, Deputy Director of Planning. This property will be very familiar as it was the subject of a similar zoning change request just a few months ago. But the site is located at Alpha Road and McEwen Drive, and it's currently developed with two vacant office buildings. The zoning here is planned development PD 90, which prior to October of 2024 did not permit school as a use within the zoning district. The applicant is proposing to remodel both buildings for use as a new private school facility, and so recently rezoned the site to allow for that use and to allow for some slight modifications to the parking lot and landscaping. The previous approval did include a conceptual site plan, which showed the two existing buildings being remodeled. but the applicant is now proposing to construct a third building on the site, which would serve as the required storm shelter, as well as function as a gymnasium for the school. And they are proposing slight modifications to the parking and landscaping layout approved with the previous conceptual plan. So here you can see the difference between the previous plan that was approved, again, the two buildings here, and the current proposal, which includes a third structure at kind of the rear of the property. The only other change proposed to the site is the alignment of the drop-off and pickup lane. Previously, it was proposed to route through here with kind of a landscaped median. The applicant is opted to shift this south so that the drop-off lane lines up with an existing shared access easement between this property and the adjacent site to the south. And that gave them a little bit more space for their playground equipment and green space closer to the building. These are the elevations for the proposed storm shelter building. Because this is required by building code to withstand certain wind speeds and provide protection in the event of a severe storm, there are limitations on windows and certain facade treatments that can be applied. So the applicant is proposing CMU construction with an EFIS exterior. You can see the existing office buildings down here to the south, and the total height would be 26 feet. Just as before, this proposal is consistent with the future land use map, which recommends mixed use development on this site, and no opposition has been received. So with that, I would be happy to answer any questions, and the applicant is here tonight as well.
Thanks, Sarah. Firstly, any questions for staff?
I'll go. If you could bring up the backup one more. Perfect. Thank you.
Oh, this one?
Yeah. It appears that, as someone mentioned earlier during the study session, that the aesthetic of this building is not as attractive as the buildings up front. But from looking at the schematic, it also looks like it's going to be well screened from the street between the buildings in front of it and the trees surrounding it, that it will be relatively hidden from the street. Is that not correct?
This site is unique in that it has right-of-way frontage on 3 public streets, so Blue Lake Circle, McEwen Road, and Alpha Road. So given those site constraints, yes, this is located at the most shielded area possible. And as you mentioned, the landscaping plan does include some new landscaping here, and you've got some mature trees along Blue Lake Circle.
And on the directly to the east side, if memory serves, there's just another parking lot for the back of the hotel. Is that correct?
Yes, the DoubleTree parking lot extends here.
Okay. Thank you.
One other question that occurred to me, Sarah, would this site also be eligible under our new ordinance that we have available for murals and art?
Yes, absolutely. We do encourage murals, and we've talked with the applicant as well. I think they have some plans for the existing buildings, and they're more than welcome to include murals as part of their building. There are some limitations on which it can't go on the side of the building facing the street, but all the other sides could include murals.
Great, thank you. All right, any further questions for staff? All right, and for our applicant? Any questions? If you want to.
I was just going to ask, has the school opened yet, or when do you plan to open?
If you want to just state your name and address for the
Yes,
record.
John Arnold, 82 well, I guess I'll do my home this time. 4420 Bryn Mawr, Dallas, Texas, 75225. We have not started since we last saw y'all in October. We plan to close our loan, close the bill on the building next week, close our loan next week, and hopefully we can get our construction plans in the next couple of weeks and get started. We plan to open in August.
Great.
So everything's progressing. You know, this was kind of a curveball for us all. We weren't expecting to build, you know, this gym was planned in the future, but it moved up very quickly because of storm shelter requirements. So staff's worked great with us to figure this out as quickly as possible.
How big is the gym going to be? Is it like half court basketball, full court?
Trying to compare it to, it's not half court, not like NBA size, but it's like a regulation wide gym.
Okay.
And in the gym, it'll have like 2 lockers rooms, not like big locker rooms, but there'll be a bathroom and a couple
Mhm.
lockers in there, and like an office for the coach, and kind of keep it simple. And on one side, we'll have a little room for some like 4 or 5 stands. The intent from the beginning is to get this done for the storm shelter to get the school open, and then we're going to focus on the interior and build out and all of that. But and as far as the building itself, we're planning on murals and painting. We're just focusing on the inside right now. Then we're going to choose those. We've got a lot of cooks in the kitchen figuring this out. So,
Well, good luck with it.
Understood.
all right, thank you.
Any further questions for applicant? Seeing none, a reminder, this is a public hearing. I don't believe we have anyone signed up to speak for this item.
I'll move that we close the public hearing.
Any further discussion on the item? Seeing none, we will move to approve closure of the public hearing. All those in favor? Okay, and with that, we'll hear a motion on the item.
I move to recommend approval of ordinance number 3912 as presented.
Thank you.
I'll second.
And seconded. Any further discussion on the item? Seeing none, we will vote. All those in favor to recommend approval? All right, and that carries. And this too will be February 18th for City Council. Thank you all. With that, we will adjourn at 7:46 p.m. Thank you all.